Welcome to Mrs. Young's Teaching Corner. Today I'm going to be talking about shared reading, what it is, and why it's a powerful tool in the primary classroom. Shared reading is when a group of students engage in reading an enlarged text together. The text is enlarged so everyone can clearly see it. It can be in the form of a poem in a pocket chart, a big book, or even a book projected on a screen. In the past, I used to like reading A to Z books, and I would project those on the screen, as well as other books that you can put underneath a document camera and also put on a screen. The point is that the text is enlarged and that everyone can clearly see the words. In shared reading, the teacher provides a lot of support because the text is usually chosen above where the students can read independently. The text is read multiple times over so that it becomes very familiar. Children, as they're reading a familiar text, feel successful while they're reading, and it becomes extremely enjoyable. After they have pretty much memorized the text, we then go back and begin to point to the words, slowing the cadence down so that we can look closer and examine the words that we're saying and seeing at the same time, drawing attention to the visual aspect of the words. There are so many implicit learning opportunities. Simply by the teacher modeling certain reading behaviors, the students begin to absorb those reading behaviors, especially in kindergarten where we're talking about early literacy behaviors and pointing to where we start reading, and then we ask, okay, where do I go from here? The return sweep. Students are just picking that up and absorbing that as they're seeing the teacher model different reading behaviors. In addition to this, there are many opportunities for explicit teaching. You can focus on comprehension, talking about what does the story mean if you're reading a big book, or what does the poem mean if you're reading a poem. You can also work on phonological awareness, where you pick a poem or a book that has rhyming in it, and the students can clap when they hear the rhyming word or do other various signals. You can also focus on word work by zooming in on letters or words that you're learning at the time. If you're learning the letter M, I like to write it on a little whiteboard and say, this is the letter M. It says mm. Can you find the letter M in our poem? Then I have cut out from these page dividers into little squares and slices so that the children can come up and highlight the word in the poem like so, the letter or the word in the poem like so. If we are learning a sight word, I will write the sight word on the board like this, upside down of course, because I have my teacher skills, and I will say, this is the word. And if my students already know it or there's someone else, I call out and everyone can say the word together. If they don't and I'm introducing it, I'll say, this is the word you. Say you. And then the whole class will say you. It's Y-O-U, you. Let's see, can anyone find that up here? And then my students will raise their hand, I'll hand them a highlighter, and they can come up and slide it over the word that matches the sight word in focus. For those who do shared reading poetry, another fun thing that I like to do is have all of the kids create a poetry journal. We put this, I tape this little bookmarker in the back of their books right here so that in kindergarten they know exactly where to get to the page. And each time we do a poem, they glue the poem on here. They do a sight word find. And depending on where my students are at, I will have them find the word in the poem and then write the word over here on the other side as we get further throughout the year. The kids love this. They love finding the words. They love coloring the pictures. It is just really I highly recommend it. So. Other things you can focus on too are grammar and punctuation, also consonant blends, digraphs, those different sounds that we teach in phonics. You can always zoom in and have the students highlight those words in the poem, differentiating for your students. I just want to end this by saying how much growth I have seen in my own students by using shared reading. It is incredibly enjoyable. My kids love this part of our day. Even when I put a new poem in the pocket chart, they notice first thing when they come into the class, and they are excited to learn a new poem that day. They love finding sight words, and they love that it's interactive, where they're not just sitting there listening to me share a whole bunch of information. They get to come up and engage. They feel successful, and so many of them are absorbing all the reading behaviors that they need to know as we're modeling and doing it together. I have seen tremendous growth in my kindergartners, and I know that this can be adapted for other grade levels and ages, and it is a very powerful tool that is effective. Thank you for taking the time to watch Mrs. Young's Teaching Corner. I have some other links in the description below of specific poems that I use in my classroom and that are available on my Teachers Pay Teachers store. I also have some more videos where I break down how I use it in my classroom and go through each new day using the same poem in different ways and in different teaching points. So if you'd like to check that out, feel free. Thanks.